sometimes controversial, always politically incorrect, and pro-life without exception, without compromise, and without apology. It's the Pro-Life America podcast with your hosts, Sarah Waits and the president of Life Dynamics, Mark Crutcher.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Pro-Life America podcast. I am Sheila Crutcher, Mark Crutcher's daughter, and with me is Sarah Waits.
Hello, everyone.
So today we are talking about how in the battle of life versus death and good versus evil, things get twisted around. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the Bible, it talks about, they call good evil and evil good.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, that's the case with abortion, and I think more and more people are starting to see that. But before we get into that, there is some good news. Hungary approves a new law that will hopefully help save babies from abortion. Mm-hmm. So they've been pretty much trying to push pro-life legislation and laws and stuff. And the prime minister and some other politicians have said that they want to do more, because right now they have a law that allows abortion up to the 12th week. Mm-hmm. So they've been trying to push more pro-life stuff. And on September 13th, the Minister of Interior, Sandor Pinti, signed a decree amending their law on the protection of fetal life. And so now it's going to be required that before a woman can have or request an abortion, she must present a document that was issued by an OBGYN certifying that the woman has been presented with a clear, quote, identification of the vital signs of the fetus, which basically means that she had to hear the baby's heartbeat. Mm-hmm. It's like some laws here in the United States.
Yeah, we have waiting periods.
And women have to be shown, ultrasounds before they can have abortion, and hoping that these women will change their mind.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a step in the right direction. Hopefully it will save lives.
Of course, the other side, especially in Hungary and other parts of Europe, are really not happy about this.
Right. Even the European Parliament was really upset about this.
For those who don't know, let's tell them the European Parliament is basically a branch of the EU who makes laws, essentially.
Exactly. And we all know how pro-abortion the EU is. And so this is interesting. September 14th.
So the day after.
They said that Hungary is, quote, a hybrid regime of electoral autocracy.
Yeah, it says they're no longer a full democracy and that the rights of its citizens are under threat.
Yeah, so hint at what they're saying this towards.
Well, it also authorizes the parliament's entire bureaucratic entity to interfere with Hungary's laws and institutions and could potentially affect their ability to get EU funds.
Right.
So this is basically a threat of, we're going to force you into doing what we want.
And I mean, if you look at it from the United States perspective, that's basically like the federal government telling, a state, unless you allow abortion, we're going to pull federal funds from y'all. The European Union is pro-abortion. They try to have individual countries under their control, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens with it.
It'll be interesting to see long term, because you're starting to see these countries take almost an American view of how dare you get involved in our politics. It'll be interesting to see how these different countries treat the interference from the EU and the UN and these bigger organizations. We'll see. We'll see.
Exactly. It's a power struggle.
Speaking of power struggles, so for those of you who are listening, you may not know, but I like video games. I'm a gamer.
So we have a geek here.
But there's a software company that's called Unity, and Unity basically provides a software that some people use to build video games. And users can use this software to build games that they sell or use to raise money for charities. Recently, they have began to charge install fees for the use of its software. However, they have allowed that charity game builders are exempt from the new install fees. However, an indie game company from Denmark called Lizard Factory has said that Unity is denying their exemption for their game Orgienizer. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's described on Steam as a sex-positive, non-pornographic puzzle game about throwing the best and most satisfying swinger parties.
Oh, lovely.
Interestingly enough, the proceeds from the game go directly to Planned Parenthood.
Surprise, surprise. I never would have guessed that.
The alternative donation that the game's designers give you, they give you an alternate if you don't want to give to Planned Parenthood. Instead, you can give to C.S. Mott Children's Hospital, which is reported to provide care for, quote, transgender, non-binary, and gender-diverse youth.
Yeah, so this game company that's trying to get charity for either Planned Parenthood or trans youth that's making a game about orgies is complaining. Okay.
Get it right, Sheila. It's an orgy puzzle game. Come on now.
Excuse me.
So, according to Lizard Factory, Unity denied their charity exemption as they believe Planned Parenthood and C.S. Mott Children's Hospital would not count as valid charities and are more akin to political groups.
Which, I mean, it's 100% correct.
So, Lizard Factory did not take this response well. Especially since they would have to then pay a certain amount per download of this game to Unity.
Right.
So they released a very classy statement saying, quote, "I speak on behalf of all of us when I say, get effed," all in caps. "We did this to raise money for a good cause, not to line the coffers of greedy scumbags." The post concludes, "This is a mafia-style shakedown, nothing more, nothing less. You want to F us? But we are not bending over." Yeah, I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
This is the stereotypical type of people that, we're having to deal with.
Well, I want to point a couple things out about their statement here. They said they're wanting to raise money for a good cause, not to line the coffers of greedy scumbags. Look at who you're giving it to.
I know.
Planned Parenthood, which has been caught not reporting statutory rape. I encourage the people at Lizard Factory to Google the name of Tanya Reeves, a woman they let bleed for 5 hours.
Right. I mean, they're
before calling 911, and she died.
They're the ultimate greedy scumbags. And I mean, Planned Parenthood has been mutilating children since the very beginning. And now the so-called trans care train is just another money-making scheme for them.
Yeah.
Along with like these, children's hospitals and health agencies or whatever they want to call themselves who have jumped onto this trans children bandwagon and all this stuff.
And that's not even counting the fact that Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion provider in the country.
Right. Completely twisted.
Speaking of completely twisted, there's a new article out by NPR that talks about a study from Guttmacher, which found that the public doesn't agree on what the word abortion means. Guttmacher states that it did an in-depth interviews with 60 people and an online survey with 2,000 more people where they questioned people about a different of scenarios like, okay, this happens here. Does this count as an abortion? For example, this is one of the ones that was included in the survey. Person G is 12 weeks pregnant. When they have their first ultrasound, there is no cardiac activity and the doctor recommends having the fetus removed. Person G has a surgical procedure to remove the fetus. Reportedly, 2/3 of people who were participating agreed it was not an abortion, but 1/3 said that was an abortion.
Well, the 1/3 is wrong. That's not an abortion.
They report that not one single scenario, which they call vignettes, garnered complete agreement across the board. One scenario even had the phrase, had a surgical abortion. Still, 67% of respondents said yes, that's an abortion. 8% said maybe that's an abortion, but 25% said no, that's not an abortion.
Yeah, well, this just shows how much of a marketing job Planned Parenthood and the abortion lobby has done.
Oh, absolutely.
Twisting what an abortion is.
Well, your dad used to say, but the abortion industry keeps people in the dark because they don't want to educate them on what they're really selling.
Right, exactly.
And if you look at it, there hasn't been a lot of education on abortion because the more people know about abortion, the less customers you're going to get.
Right. I mean, just recently, the whole thing about miscarriages being an abortion. And, that was one of the recent things that they did.
Yeah.
No, that's not an abortion.
It's the very reason why they use ambiguous terms or they change things up. And it's also the reason why videos like our abortion animations video, and I know Live Action has done their own version of that same thing, where it shows people what abortions are and what happens in the process. And people who have been pro-choice look at these videos and go, wait a minute. So if Guttmacher is in fact being honest here about this, and let's remind people that Guttmacher has a relationship with Planned Parenthood.
Right, they're the research arm.
Exactly. So this is not exactly a non-biased entity here. But if what they're saying is true, we can't be surprised.
Yeah.
We can't be surprised because they have not wanted people to know much about abortion.
I mean, information is powerful. Truth is powerful, and the abortion industry can't afford to have the truth get out. And talking about truth, Tucker Carlson said something really interesting that I want to just talk about quickly. He said that in a recent speech that abortion is not a political debate, but a spiritual battle.
So before you get into it, when I first read this, I had this yes, but moment. I was like, wait a minute, I have to go read in all this because I was already having these gut reactions. So for anybody else who's having that same reaction, let's preface it with his full speech here.
So at a speech for the Center for Christian Virtue, he called out the left's relentless push for abortion and called it not a political debate, but a spiritual battle. And that in all civilizations, they do abortions to achieve what he quoted is power and happiness and contentment. And that's what exactly abortion is. You know, society is sold by the abortion industry and politicians that having an abortion will make you happy. You won't be tied down by a baby or a family. It'll make you happy. You can go for your dreams. But as he pointed out, he said, quote, "It's not a natural human function to want to kill your own children."
No, it isn't. Absolutely.
It isn't. And so, I mean, he's perfectly correct. This has been happening since the very beginning in all kinds of different civilizations.
Nothing new under the sun, right?
Nothing new under the sun. And it is evil, and it is a spiritual battle.
Yeah, and we tend to look at past civilizations that did human sacrifice and look and we just go, how barbaric.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have businesses with websites who take credit cards and checks legally standing that do the same thing.
You can order pills online. If you're in a liberal state, you can go right down the road. So,
Well, and he mentions or he references the fervor in which they push abortion and their attitude toward it.
Right.
And for some people, abortion is almost like a religion.
it's cult-like.
And it's just this serious dedication and this pushing it no matter what. And so this is definitely a spiritual battle. However, what we can't ever forget is that politics always is downstream from culture, right?
Right.
Our beliefs and our lifestyle influences the politics. So we can't just say this is purely a spiritual battle or purely a religious issue or whatnot. I mean,
Purely political.
Or purely political. It's all connected.
It all ties in and plays off each other. And talking about a battle, this week's From the Mouth of Mark, which was posted in November 2008, he wrote, "This was never a war between the pro-choice forces and us. From the first killing, it has been a war between the pro-choice forces and the unborn. You and I are just soldiers who volunteered to fight on the side of the babies. We didn't start this war, it doesn't belong to us, and we won't end it. If you understand that, and if you understand that God is the only general of the army in which we serve, then you have no reason to be discouraged."
And this is absolutely right. This is not our battle. This is the one we took up. And I want to clarify, when he says we won't end it, that doesn't mean that we won't end legalized abortion or we won't end abortion. And what it's saying is that it's God that ends it. We do this on behalf of God, but it is God whose hands that all of this is really in.
Right. And as my dad would always point out, that the gates of the hell will not prevail. That's because of God. You know, we are working towards those goals for God, and he is ultimately the one that's going to end it.
You know, all this stuff that we've read is basically about twisting, right? The twisting of abortion, the twisting of who Planned Parenthood is, the twisting of arguments, exactly.
Right. Abortion arguments, which is why before we go, I want to encourage people to watch our new animated video series, the last project that my dad was working on. It's called Abortion Distortion. It can be found on our website.
Yep, lifedynamics.com/abortion-distortion. Or if you just go to lifedynamics.com, it's in the carousel there at the top of the page.
Right.
Easy way to find it. Or you can click on our videos tab.
But it's short little videos to help disprove abortion arguments.
Yeah.
And to do it, in an interesting and eye-catching way. Because, again, the abortion lobby and abortion advocates will do everything that they can to distort the truth.
Absolutely.
And so this is meant to be a tool to help fight against that.
Well, and the animations that you put in there, Sheila, some of them are so good. They make me chuckle.
Yeah, sometimes I'll, be sitting there and you'll be putting it up on the website and I'll just hear you randomly laughing out loud. So,
and it's just really quick, short videos. I mean, we're talking about anywhere from 60 to a minute and 20 seconds tops.
Yeah.
Showing the flaws of the pro-choice arguments. And right now we're at 25 videos and we've got more coming out this week.
Right.
So there's more videos that are constantly coming out each week.
Right.
And we have the transcript for the videos underneath. So if you want to use that argument, use it on Twitter, Facebook, blog, you can easily copy and paste that. This is a great tool. Again, if you haven't gone to see it, it is lifedynamics.com/abortion-distortion, or you can go to lifedynamics.com and click on the videos tab.
And you will see it there. And until next time, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight.
We're here to win.
Because winning is how the killing stops.
Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great week.